Of course, it starts dumping rain the second I go to make this video, but we're gonna have to power through it because I know people like to see the nitty-gritty details of builds. And I built this entire project here really without making any progress videos, which is really unfortunate because there's a lot of really cool stuff that went into building this. A lot of tricks and a lot of innovations, a lot of creativity that I had to come up with to make things work here. So I'm gonna give you the first of a line of videos that's gonna be trickling out. I'm not starting this project yet, but I am getting a few things going here, and this will be a bit of an explanation of what this project is going to be. I've kind of changed my mind a few times over the course of the year here while I was building this. I ended up picking up this tractor, so it wasn't so necessary for me to get the loader portion of this built, because I'm going to be able to modify the bucket on this tractor once I get it running to be able to feed the mixer. So this got really got put on the back burner, but it is going to be happening throughout the course of this winter, and we might, you know, depending on how busy I am, we might see a few things starting on it. As soon as I get this axle mounted in it, I'll probably end up trying to figure out where I want to cut the articulation point in. So we'll just kind of get into the overall plan of what I have for this right now. As you can see here, I've cut the front end off of this 1993 Ford Ranger chassis, and I'm going to be mounting this rear end, and this is a limited slip differential out of an Explorer. You can find these super cheap pretty much anywhere. You just check the vehicle identification plate, it'll have an axle code. I think you just look for anything with a letter in it. You want to double check that, and then you'll be able to identify whether or not that vehicle has a limited slip, or you just grab a hold of one wheel and see if the other one spins in the same direction, and then that'll tell you if it's got a limited slip in it as well. If it spins the opposite direction when you spin this side, then you have an open differential. So what we're going to do is we're going to tack this axle somewhere in here. This is going to have a loader bucket on the front, either similar to the tractor, or potentially maybe a Bobcat style bucket, or maybe even a backhoe bucket style. There's a bunch of different options we have. I haven't really decided on what sort of bucket I'm going to have, but I'm definitely going to have a bucket on the front end here, and we're going to have this axle solid mounted in here somewhere. Now I got a bunch of cleanup to do on here yet. I got to get rid of some of these cross members and body mounts, and then we're just going to tack this axle in, because I'm not really sure where that's going to need to be, because I'm not sure where the articulation point and the bucket is going to need to be. So we're just going to tack that in so I kind of move this around a little easier. And then on the back here, for now, I'm going to leave the suspension in, because I kind of like the idea of having a little bit of cushion where the passenger is going to be riding. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount a swivel plate here so that I can put a seat on that and be able to turn it from the hoe attachment that's going to be on the back here, and then swivel it around to be able to drive it with the loader bucket on the front here. Now I'm not entirely sure how comfortable that's going to be, being so far back from the bucket. It's going to be like driving a front end loader realistically, which, you know, isn't, you know, the most comfortable thing to operate, but it gets the job done. So we'll see how that is. You know, this is prototype. This is a learning process. There's going to be a bunch of things that I'm going to be doing with the hydraulic system on this that is completely experimental. I might try paralleling some two-stage pumps. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm probably going to be undersizing the motor on this because, you know, for this project here, for this mixer project, I got lucky and I was able to find a 30-40 horsepower Isuzu diesel motor. Otherwise, I'm not even entirely sure what I was going to power this with. I was probably going to have to, you know, get creative. But on this project, I got lucky and I found that motor, and it worked out perfect for this. The pump that I found works out perfect for the volume and the pressure that I need, the flow and the pressure that I need. But I'm not so lucky on this. And I was just going to try harder to see if I could find a motor similar to that for this project, because it would be ideal having that extra horsepower. But you know, that wouldn't really be great for a YouTube video, because that's not practical for most people to be able to go out and find those motors. I'm having a ton of trouble finding more. You know, I'd like to just keep a couple more for stock for a bunch of different projects down the road. But that might not be feasible. So what I'm going to do is I got a 270cc Honda motor, I think is what I'm going to try to put in this. And we're going to just try some different hydraulics out. And we're going to play around. We're going to find out what works and what doesn't work. So this is going to be a great sizing experiment to see what works and what doesn't work, what speeds we're going to get out of different motors, different off-the-shelf motors from your, you know, your typical retailer. And yeah, it's going to be a learning process. This mixer project was a massive learning process, and unfortunately I wasn't able to do a bunch of breakdown videos for that project because I was just in a rush to get it done. So, but I am going to do some post videos of breaking down a lot of the really interesting stuff, like how I built the flex plate and how I size the hydraulics, and how I decided to run a bunch of different stuff. I built the rollers. Unfortunately, it's not you know, real-time videos, and you're not going to see the actual process of me fabricating those pieces and so forth, which I know a lot of people like. But I'm going to try my best to keep up with that on this project and my other projects going forward. The nice thing about having this chassis here, and we might end up mounting this axle somewhere along here solid in the future, but like I said, I kind of like having the cushion for the rider here. And also it's kind of nice the way this the profile of this frame goes. You're able to put some plates down here for your feet to rest when you're seated in this, and then swivel around once this gas tank is out of the way, and this cross member should be able to do the same here, so it'll be comfort for the rider. We'll have that articulation point in here, and then we're probably going to put the motor and the hydraulics in the front with the bucket, and we'll see how that goes. I've got for the drivetrain, I've got a transfer case out of a 4x4 Ranger. This is a two-wheel drive Ranger, but I've got the transfer case, and I'm going to make some custom drive shafts to go back to the axles. And I've got some Lovejoy couplers that I'm going to use for the hydraulic motor to the transfer case, and then we'll do custom drive shafts from the transfer case to the axles. And you know, we'll just see how that works, right? Like it's kind of cool. Like you'll see this in future videos, but the Lovejoy coupler that I found fits perfectly on the over the input shaft for the transfer case. And just going to cut a little keyway with a grinder, and we'll see how it works. We'll see. Maybe it busts apart. Maybe it totally busts that shaft after I modify it. Don't know, but we're gonna find out. And I think that's about all I got for now. I just kind of wanted to show you guys that and let you know that this project is going. I got to get to town to get some other things dropped off, and I'll give you some more update videos. Going to see tons of videos coming out on this mixer project in the near future here. Kind of let you know what happened through the process of building all that. And yeah, we'll see a lot of me in a minute here.